Philanthropy is a concept which is alien to Hindus, and philanthropy is a concept which is alien to temples. Temples are only interested in covering their gods and their spires in gold and silver, and they have no interest in doing anything for the common society. We will always speak and give the example of a langar of a gurudwara, or the church and hospital, or the hospital and school of a church, but we will not have such comparable examples to give as far as a temple is concerned. Have we ever asked ourselves, why is this reason? Why does it exist this way? What is the reason for this state of affairs? That is something that has been lost in the sands of time. Most people don't even know who controls the wealth that comes from the temple. Who controls the resources of the temple? Why is it that you have a Hindu endowments board in every secular government, state government, but you don't find similar establishments or similar ministries for places of worship of other communities? What does this tell you? We have not taken an interest in this. It doesn't matter to us. We are fundamentally survivalists. We are fundamentally individualists. As long as you have greener pastures to go after, and you're in a position to secure your own nest, you're in a position to feather your own nest, you have no interest in seeing beyond that. Please remember that there are 3 stages that a civilization goes through, usually. 1, where it is aware of its identity. 2nd, where it is in the process of losing its identity. 3rd, when it completely loses its identity. And when there is a vacuum, something is bound to fill that vacuum. If you don't fill it up yourself, and you create an identity for yourself, somebody else is going to do for that. So we may be progenitors of an advanced civilization, but we are certainly at an advanced stage of decay. And unless and until we we identify as to who we are and what we wish to do, in the future you will always find yourself in the politically incorrect position of defending your own faiths. You'll find yourself in the tragic position of having to defend every tradition which is native to this particular land. Because they will come and tell you, you are fools, your forefathers were fools, the entire value system that your society has followed for thousands of years is based on myth and superstition and nothing beyond that, and you will not even have credible answers to give. Because you don't know who you are and where you come from. Therefore, Indic Renaissance is impossible until we go beyond Twitter and Facebook and equip ourselves with facts, with information, looking at our own history. And it's not really difficult to do. Between the 18th century and early 20th century, giants have literally identified and written fantastic books on India, on India's past. You only need to dig it up. You only need to arm yourself with those facts. You only need to recraft it and represent it. Because if you don't do so, all you're left with is post-20th century and 21st century books, all of which has been written by others, with a specific agenda and a specific interest to push. And this is one aspect that I think becomes very, very important, which is almost in every fight or in every initiative, you will find yourself alone. It either becomes a caste-related issue or it becomes, let's say, a region-related issue or a language-related issue, but it never transcends beyond that. Hopefully, there will come a time where we will recognize that if we do not find for ourselves a common identity, we will be picked apart one by one, and we will not even know it. Riots happen in Gujarat against a certain community. It matters to people from that particular faith across the country, across the world. Riots happen with respect to a different community in Bengal. It doesn't matter to anyone who lives in the neighboring state of Bengal. It doesn't make news at all. It doesn't shake a single soul. It doesn't stir a single conscience. How many of you have heard of Dhulagad riots in Bengal? Were there any protests for those people in this part of the country, while there are protests for Rohingyas all over the country who don't even belong to this country. The turnout for this topic is perhaps representative of the state of affairs. Apathy is the beginning of destruction of a civilization. After years of going through nasty experience from 700 AD till perhaps even today, we still haven't learnt our lessons. You may not be interested in your identity as a Hindu or whatnot, but somebody else seems to be interested in your identity as a Hindu. Somebody else is interested in your identity as a Sikh. Somebody else is interested in your Indic identity. His identity may have never mattered to you, your identity may have never mattered to you, you're happy living with the other person, but he is not comfortable with your identity. And yet, you wish to live under the bubble, under the rock, that I'm so sorry, all points of view are the same, all opinions are the same, all worldviews are the same, all values are the same. If no two people can be the same, and no two people can have the same quality, how can two people have the same quality of opinions? How can the quality of opinions of two different people be the same? The problem is we have somehow managed to imbibe this particular tradition that do not judge thy neighbor. Because the moment you judge, you're seen as discriminating, you're seen as subscribing to a fascist ideology. It is important to judge. It is important to apply your faculties of discrimination to see what is right, what is wrong, who is right and who is wrong. Because if you can't speak the truth, if you do not have the guts to speak the truth, then you deserve to wither away. And you will.